The true protagonist of our Parsha is Yitzchak Avinu. Our Parsha is the only Parsha that is dedicated to his adult life and the choices and the actions that he takes as the inheritor of our Masorah from his father Abraham. And when we look at Yitzchak's life, it is easy to dismiss it as a life that might be mundane or even meaningless. After all, as we see in this week's Parsha, it doesn't sound like Yitzchak does very much. In fact, everything he actually does do, Yitzchak does to be just like his father. At the end of last week's Parsha, he takes his new bride Rivka into his mother's tent, such that she becomes the Sarah and he becomes the new Avraham. Yitzchak prays for a son just like his father does. Yitzchak, like Avraham, struggles with a famine and he wants to leave the land of Canaan. He gets in trouble on account of his wife by telling the same story, that his wife was his sister, and he even quarrels with the Plishtim over the ownership of the wells. But the truth is, as so many of the commentaries have written, without Yitzchak, the Jewish people would not have survived. Yitzchak took all of Avraham's creativity and his innovations, all of Avraham's vision, and he ensured its continuity. Avraham was the creator, the founder, the leader with charisma. And Yitzchak was the one that took all of that charisma and creativity and institutionalized it. Yitzchak never left Canaan. He never went on any great explorations or any adventures because he needed to invest all of his energies in building and in establishing and in redigging the wells that his father Abraham had started. And so if Yitzchak is the model for ensuring Jewish continuity, then it is critical for all of us to best understand Yitzchak's thought process, his actions, his motivations, as we struggle in our own way with the future of our people in this modern world. And what I want to suggest is that the secret to Yitzchak's success, the secret to Jewish continuity, it's not in aping the person who's come before you, but rather something much deeper. You see, there are truly two big moments in Yitzchak's life when he asks critical questions. First, while walking with Avram to the Akedah, Yitzchak asks very simply, Ayeh hasel olah, where is the sheep for the sacrifice? To which Avraham responds that God will show him in due time. And the second question comes in our Parsha, where Yitzchak asks rhetorically to himself, Hakol kol Yaakov hadayim de Esav. Yitzchak asks himself, he says, the voice that he heard, it seems to be the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are that of Esav. And in these two questions, we see what I think is the primary focus of Yitzchak's existence, his own secret for Jewish continuity, which is a concern for both physical as well as spiritual well-being. Ayeh hasel olah. Yitzchak knew the answer to that question. He knew that it was he who would be the sacrifice, and yet he asks the question because he knows that physical security is one of the ways in which we can guarantee overall continuity. Yitzchak knew that if he wasn't physically safe, then how could there be a continuation of the Jewish people? But it's not just the need to ensure the security and peace of our people that allows us to continue the legacy of Avraham. Rather, Yitzchak teaches us more. He teaches us that the kol of Yaakov, the spirituality of the voice of Yaakov, filled with the words of Torah, the words of Tefillah, that they take precedence over the yadayim of an Esav, the hands of those who seek out to harm us. The way in which we can continue to exist is by following Yitzchak, who put the focus on both our spiritual as well as the physical needs and existence. And as we look around the world, we as Jews have sadly had to put a tremendous focus on our physical well-being and safety. With the rise of terrorism and anti-Semitic hate crimes throughout the world, we are constantly feeling the pressure to try to live up to this doctrine of Yitzchak, of ensuring Jewish continuity in a physical sense. We invest millions upon millions of dollars across the globe in security costs to protect our communities and to ensure our physical well-being. And yet we must not lose focus on the other half of the equation, our spiritual needs. Israel and the Jewish people, they need not only our physical support, our dollars, but it also needs our spirituality, our davening and learning of Torah. We need to refocus our attention on these spiritual priorities just as much as we do on our physical ones. And whether it's learning more Torah or making more time for davening or something else for that matter that might move us spiritually, they need to all be priorities for us just as much as our physical safety is. Each of us must commit ourselves to the spiritual and physical needs of the Jewish people. Today, when the continuity of our people is at risk, we need to learn from Yitzchak what it takes to keep the Jewish people and the vision of Avraham going. And the truth is that neither the physical nor the spiritual needs are more important than the other. On two different occasions, the Torah tells us that Yitzchak trembles, once at the Akedah and once when Esav came to him for his bracha. For you see, for Yitzchak, both the physical and the spiritual concerned him so deeply that it made him tremble, as it should each and every one of us. And so may God give us the strength to follow in the footsteps of Yitzchak and to live a life committed and concerned about both the spiritual and the physical well-being of the Jewish people. And may it be through not only our personal commitment, but our collective community, that we are able to continue the legacy of Avraham such that it continues for generations to come. Shabbat Shalom.